chat. How do you feel about this? Spend lesser time and achieve more is the topic of discussion today. Study smarter, not harder. Don't spend hours and hours and hours in studying, but make every minute count. So please write in the chat, what do you think about it? You can write in the chat, you can speak about it. And then we have our wonderful expert on the topic, Mrs. Rama Shinde ma'am. And we all know that she is IB leader with lot of experience, more than 20 years experience in IB world. And she keeps visiting many schools to ensure quality education. And she is passionate about education. So we are fortunate, ma'am, to have you here on this wonderful topic through which children,
Yes,
parents, all of us will be helped. Because this is one thing that all of us want to do, how to make sure that our efforts are getting result. So we would not take much of time, and I would request you to talk about it. What do you think? Like, because our three takeaways are already circulated to everyone, and first takeaway is this only: how to plan better so that we get more with lesser time.
it's Survi ma'am, it's a pleasure to be over here on this platform and connecting it with so many parents and under the Brighter Minds umbrella as well as Heartfulness, a bigger umbrella. So, a very important topic, and we all know that very well, like, including the children, the parents, we all are lifelong learners. Do you all believe that we all are lifelong learners? Yes. So, the word study is not only connected to the school life, it is connected throughout your life. Okay. Only in the school days, you are connecting it with the textbook, and then, in our education system, those marks, which sometimes gives a lot of pain to the parents as well as to the children. Correct. But it is very important to have that. It is very important to have that. So, ma'am, when you are asking me that this study, right, how to take it further or how do we take it? So, our first takeaway is like backward planning. Mhm. And which is very essential because backward planning is something which is, you need to decide or what is going to be the end result in mind, whatever you do it. Okay, when your mama cooks a sabji for you, like there are many students attending this webinar also, so I'm saying that, so she ensures that if it is a gravy sabji, if it is a dry sabji, okay, or she just wants to, make it, toss it and give it to you, so she knows that what is going to be in the plate. Correct. The similar way, the every child, okay, needs to plan what is going to be the end result of my working. Correct. It's not only marks earning. So that is something which you need to have a very clear thinking about it. So it's called a backward planning, backward designing. So in today's education world, it's called a backward designing. And you must be knowing that the school plans for entire year, isn't it? Like when is going to be the assessment, when is going to be the test one, essay two, all those things school does it. Similar way, school frames the curriculum, then the textbooks are issued to you. So you all are aware, like, what kind of a work is going to be taken place. But what is ultimate your aim is that to attain the 3 hours paper or 1.5 hour paper. And for that, how you're going to do the backward planning. So Surbi ma'am, do you agree with me this word called backward planning?
I
Yeah.
completely agree, ma'am. And in everything, not only in studies, when you were speaking, I was thinking when we think, when we understand that, okay, some wedding is now planned in the family or relatives, we start buying things, But when we fix the goal, like these many functions are to be done there, and then this would be the need, and then we buy things, because our children and parents, they nowadays they are into buying of things being festival days. So when we have the goal in mind and then plan, it works better. It's
Yes.
very relative.
Absolutely correct, Surbhi ma'am. As you said that this habit. So again, I would say that when we are talking about this today's three takeaways, ma'am, one thing everybody should know, remember is that, cultivating positive study habits. Okay. So it's not only for now, it's throughout your life, because in life, after you complete your academics, you complete your, getting degrees or getting yourself skilled, later on also you need to, when you work also at that time, you are being asked to complete certain task, isn't it, ma'am? Yeah. And for that reason, definitely everybody needs to have the study habits or a backward planning. So it is called as a, positive reinforcement, which we need to keep it. And then only, whatever you do it, you can get and derive the success in it. So I'm not talking about only the earning the marks or getting that kind of a percentage, but this habit inculcation is something which is going to give you lifelong results. So anything you want to do it, first is the backward planning, right? So it is like, art. I would say that it is an art of backward planning, which you need to, learn, or you need to acquire it. And for that, it is like, you need to have an intention,
Hmm.
as you rightly use the word goal. So there is an intention. Why we are taking this webinar? Because the children need to get, educated about it. The parents need to know. So when you know that this is our intention, so it is intentionally we are doing it. So at least now, whoever or whatever number of families are attending it, they're going to get benefited with it, isn't it now?
Right.
So it's like, intention, it has to be, and it has to be aligned with your whatever you are going to set a goal. So it can be a long term, it can be a short term. Like now, suppose if I want to ensure that this is one chapter of photosynthesis, and I know that there is going to be one question on photosynthesis. Okay. So I will ensure that understanding of that photosynthesis, I'm very clear. I know the spellings, because many a times the children make the spelling errors, right? They are not able to construct the proper sentences. So all that I make it sure that I take a paper and start doing it. I know that this is going to be 110%, you are sure that this question is going to come in the examination. So it is like a lot of planning has to be done for that. And it is not only the planning, you need to keep in mind, like now November is my exam. So how many days are there? Okay. Because all children get the same amount of time. But then why some of them top and some of them lack? Why? There's a reason, right? How wisely you utilize this time. And as we have said, like, you need to learn smarter way, right? Not the harder way. Like, 24/7 before the exam, before 5 days of the exam, if you sit with the textbook, you're not going to get miracles are not going to happen. So for that, backward planning is very, very important. And now my question is that at least I had 2, 3 children, if they can, respond to us, it will be really great. How do we do this backward plan?
So should we launch a poll, ma'am, to see?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That will be great, ma'am. That will be great because,
So
yes,
I'm
your poll
sharing
is
the poll.
yes,
So
ma'am.
let
I
us
can.
know how many parents are here and how many children are here. So are you a
Yeah,
child or parent attending this program? So please write down. And then
yeah.
how familiar are you with the concept of backward planning in studies? Are you very
Mhm.
familiar or somewhat familiar or heard of it but don't know much, or you have never heard of it? Somewhat familiar.
Okay. Mhm. So I
Some
hope
say
they are able to access and they have started writing it. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Mhm.
More people say never heard of it. 56% people say never heard of it.
Okay.
And it is something that Rama ma'am is sharing, and it is sure short way to not only ensure success but also create interest, because when you have goal in mind, when you have your mind is fixed on the goal and then you are working towards it, every moment would be fascinating, that yeah, I'm a step forward towards my goal.
Very true, ma'am. So when we are saying that, how will you do the backward planning? Now, simple, like poor children, sometimes get bogged with many subjects. Okay. Minimum 8 subjects, everybody has it, right? Now, when it comes to the academics, definitely, which are the written examination papers? The child should know about it very well. How much is the percentage of marks it is going to calculate, or grades if it is. So the child needs to have a clear idea about it. If the child doesn't have, fortunately in school they educate. But if by chance the child has remained absent, then it is a moral responsibility of the parent to talk about it. Like if it is going to be 20 marks test or 100 marks paper, how much time is going to be there, and whatever the syllabus has been given. So this is something which the child should know about it properly. It is not like in the calendar you have written the syllabus, or it has come on the app and the child doesn't know about it. So it has to have in front of the child's eyes. So this is something, a prerequisite, I must say, for a backward planning in studies in the school days. The similar is applicable even at our university level also. When we are studying, we also know that we have to have this portion has to be getting, you have to complete it. Second thing is that, like, number of days for the examination, what kind of a time I'm going to get it. As we rightly said, Surbhi ma'am, when we are doing this backward planning, you know that in your school's 8 hour time is gone, right? 8 hour has gone in sleep, right? So remaining 8 hours are there, and I'm not expecting that there's all 8 hours to be dedicated for studies. You need to play also. Okay, so you take it minimum 3 hours every day I'm going to spend, but those 3 hours are not at a stretch. Okay, it will be with a proper interval. So now 3 hours, and if I want to complete how many chapters, so that kind of a calculation has to be done by the child. Give the ownership to the child to do it. Remember one thing, when the child does this, okay, the child gets involved. Nobody else should make a ready-made plan and give it to the child. This is called a backward planning. And if we inculcate this habit, you can inculcate this habit from third standard onwards. Till second standard, it is a foundation age. Okay. But third standard onwards, the me in child is coming up. So you need to inject that responsibility in the child. You plan it and show it to me. Let the child be creative in planning. Okay. But that has to be there. Then the child may use a calendar, child may draw. He may spend 2 hours for that, but it is very well investment of time to do this. And once it is done, okay, once it is done, then follow the backward planning. Because planning is not done only for, to be on the paper. You need to. So when you're planning, a lot of discussion, parent can give and tips, the teacher can give the tips. But once it is done, then no more discussion. You have to follow what you have decided. So if you have decided at 3 hours, then if some birthday party is coming, so how much time is going to spend? So all that calculation, the child has to do it. And if we inculcate this habit, study habit, this is called, I call it as a study habit. If that is developed, that is nurtured well, initial days, ma'am, you see the results.
True. So this will be helpful not only in studies but overall life. So it's a life skill, how to plan.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. And this will definitely help them to ensure that once they start following this habit, that planning is done, now I will be following it. It helps them in their future life because execution is very important, right? So when you are executing that time, no doubt, like little bit flexibility, you need to keep it in real life situations, but minimum flexibility. I must say that, if the child has planned, the subject has to be done so well. So, interest level will vary from the children to children, but then this is the way it has to go about.
So set up the goal and then find out the ways how you will be doing it, and then start.
Yes.
So it will also be very time efficient, because then you know what time frame you have to finish it.
Absolutely, ma'am. The time management is something which is again gets involved with this backward planning, because the child is going to calculate Saturday, Sunday, the school is not going to day. So I'm going to spend 4 hours maybe. So that way the child has to start thinking, and this is the way, the time management skills we imbibe in the children. All of a sudden, we cannot teach these things to the children. Correct? And when they go in 9th standard and 10th standard, you cannot teach them. So this has to begin from 3rd standard onwards. And I had seen the children taking the responsibility on their own, thinking about it, what I will do once I go home from the school, all that. So this is called a daily backward planning also. Like I'll go for my badminton, I will go for my cycle ride, then I will do this, then I will do that. And doing that is very important.
So these many days are remaining. Suppose 30 days are remaining. So 20 days to finish your syllabus, 5 days to revise important things or difficult things, then 5 more days to revise overall. And then, so like that, they can divide daily basis, weekly basis, like that.
Yes. And ma'am, it is like, some of them find mathematics very difficult. Okay. So the formulas to revisit, which are the subject you are going to spend every day more time on that. So certain subjects requires the practice more. Certain subjects, you just read it once and you understand it. So that way, you need to have a discussion based, some interaction either with your friends or with your parents, or the parents need to interact, so that it really helps the children, because then they start understanding, oh yes, this is very important. Otherwise, if no discussion happens in the family, no discussion happens at the dining table, what are you learning, what is happening in the school, then it becomes a very dry, and the children are left out in the school.
When they are learning some subject, some topic, maybe parents can interact, and once they make a plan, children make a plan, parents can also just review it and suggest lovingly that.
And you will be surprised, ma'am, when they make a plan, the children come up with wonderful ideas. Okay. They come up with wonderful ideas. You give them a chance, they will come up. But unfortunately, many parents only plan everything and then they say, no, you do that. And then the children feel very uncomfortable. Child loves to play chess. The child player loves to play with his ball or in between, So let him take that ownership. When you give that ownership to the child will come up. No doubt. I'm not saying like, it should be a guided one. So we always say the guided process is very, very important. And this is whatever we are speaking, it's completely a guided process.
Sure. So let's launch one more poll on the topic.
Yeah, ma'am. Sure. Okay.
Are you able to see the results?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Never heard was 58%. And yeah, untitled question choice 100% they have written it. Yeah, okay. Okay.
So now we are let's have the second poll now on the topic.
Yeah.
So just 1 minute.
Yeah. Absolutely fine. You take your own time, ma'am. And there are many children who are attending this webinar. So, my dear children, later on, you keep your questions ready if you have any burning questions in your mind. So, we'll be keeping last 10-15 minutes for you to ask us questions. Okay. Yeah.
So this is second one.
Yeah.
Which stage of backward planning that we spoke about, which stage of backward planning do you find most challenging? So parents and children can write here. Setting clear goals, do you find it difficult? Or breaking down tasks into steps, different steps that are to be taken, or allocating time for each task, or sticking to the plan. So 100% people say sticking to the plan up to now. Let's
Okay.
And second is And then you can also write, I don't find any stage challenging if you don't find it difficult.
Yeah.
And then second question is, what method do you typically use to organize your studies up to now? You have been following something, right? So what have you been following?
So no set method, daily, weekly planning, and prioritize tasks randomly and other. So good questions, ma'am. Good questions. So let's see what kind of an answers we get it.
So some people feel that allocating time for each task is difficult
Yeah.
because they are not sure maybe how much time will it take.
Yeah. Yeah, so for this reason, like, when they are saying this, ma'am, I have one very important thing to share. Like, everybody knows, like, when you are setting a task or when you're planning something, you need to have a very smart way of functioning. That is, called as S stands for specific one. So, you should understand, like, what is a very important task to be completed. So it has to be a specific one if you want to do that. Then that task is going to take how much time, because sometimes you want to solve maths exercise and it is going to, because you don't know how to do it, so it may take more time. But then you need to understand, like, judgment has to be there for that. And if you achieve the task, okay, if you complete it within time, pat yourself, okay, give yourself 1 star, because motivating yourself is something which is very, very important. So the children should learn that I did, mama, I did this, and within the time. So that kind of a joy the child should get it, because that boosts the children's confidence level. And another thing, as I said, like, that has to be discussed at home. Okay, if you do that one, plan your task, and if you complete it within time, you should share it. If you are not able to do it also, you should find out what was the reason for it. Okay, it was little difficult, it was pretty lengthy. Okay, so you should be able to, this is called as introspecting. And that is very, very important habit again. So it comes under study habits itself, like introspecting that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
The more we do it, better we become for future.
Correct. Absolutely. We learn with our own mistakes, right? That is what the science or the philosophy speaks about it. So this is the way we can do it. Yeah.
58% people feel that sticking to the plan is the most difficult thing. And 5% people feel that setting clear goals is difficult. And allocating time for each task is difficult is being felt by 37% people.
37. Okay. So this lot of detailed thinking has to be there, deep thinking. And once you start having that habit, again, this is an habit. Once you start dedicating your time for these things, slowly, gradually, you will see that the changes happening. Like, you must have seen, like, many children are, versatile. They are, like, they are in the sports, they are there in all, academics, they are there in cultural activities. So how smartly they do it? Okay, because they know that sticking to that and sticking to your plan thing is very, very important, and that habit you need to develop it. If you do that, it's like winnowing yourself, winning yourself. That is something win-win situation for yourself.
Yeah, so one thing about willpower that I realized over the years, more you use it, better you become in it.
Absolutely
So
correct.
first time, suppose for example, first time you decided that okay, tomorrow morning I'll wake up at 5, and the moment alarm wakes you up, you say, oh, shut up, I'll wake up at 7. So the moment you don't use your willpower, it will not be, I mean, you will not be able to use it second time. But the moment you use it, that okay, let me do it today, then second time it will become easier, third time it will become more easy.
Absolutely correct, ma'am. Willpower is something, because every soul has that power within them. Okay, this is what we teach in the Brighter Mind also, right? Isn't it? And that power is there because of their mind and a brain connection. So children are pure at their heart. Okay, they are very pure. So they have more power, I always feel, they have more pure power. So they should do that, because if they work with that kind of a mindset, they achieve it. So that is something very important point, ma'am. You got it. Willpower. Some of the children really have a very strong power, and they're very determined. They are very determined to do that.
So like we can change the scenario. Nowadays, we are missing most of the times, we are missing sticking to the plan. So we have to change. Most of the times you can follow, and sometimes, I mean, if there is some very critical need, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like,
Otherwise, you should stick to the plan, because then there's no point in spending time to plan something, to do the backward planning. Okay. Yeah. Initially, it may be tough. You may find it tough, you may, and then you only yourself judge it, like how much you plan, how much you were able to do it. This kind of and habits are also very important for life skills as such. Okay. So these are a genuine life skills to make your life more interesting.
and one more thing will happen when we start sticking to the plan, our mind also gets that dopamine boost. You will feel happy that, yay, I was able to do it. Yay, more motivated to do it for the second time.
Yeah, that's what I said. No, ma'am, you need to learn to appreciate yourself also. Yeah. Okay.
So for now, parents can also, keep thinking about how to motivate children, how to appreciate their efforts. I always tell this: don't
Yeah.
appreciate the results, but appreciate the effort. That, okay, you are trying to stick to the plan, you are trying to make the plan.
Yes. Absolutely correct, ma'am. Parents play a very key role. Okay. Although you know that the child has not, must have not got that kind of a results, but you are the only one who is going to motivate and give that support to the child, isn't it? Okay. So the poll results are over here, ma'am. Yeah. Okay. 5% are saying that setting clear goals, right? Breaking down task into steps. Nobody has
Easy for
done.
everyone. Easy for
Everybody, yeah, easy for everybody.
yeah.
Sticking to the plan is only one thing, yeah. So for that, again, the willpower and the determination plays a very, very important thing. So once and that kind of a personality then you create, you are determined to do something. Once you decide, you do it. Yeah.
So in this, I would like to share my personal journey. Through heartfulness, it has helped me a lot. And I have seen, because I'm working day in, day out for Brighter Minds and Heartfulness, I have seen for children, Brighter Minds do wonders in this regard. How to develop their willpower, how to boost their brain power.
Very true, ma'am. I also had seen the children who have undergone the Brighter Minds training. They are more mindful. They are more, their thought process is very clear. It's not something which, they are very clear with their vision. So it's kind of, having a clear clarity what you're doing, how much time you are dedicating to one particular, because when the children go into the adolescence age group, that time they don't like to get instructions all the time. Okay. So you have to leave the child on his or her own will. Okay, because the children don't like to, they get irritated, they get angry. So it's a but natural, a lot of changes keeps happening in themselves. So it's very important, as you rightly said, ma'am, that Brighter Minds has this technique where the children develop themselves that kind of an habit or a routine as such. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. It was really insightful, and I would thank you for this. And I would like you to share how to have more strategies for studies so that our parents can help children and children can help themselves
Yeah.
to study smarter. So please share few techniques that you
Yes.
found
Yes.
interesting.
So basically, ma'am, as I said, study is something which is, a lot of research has happened on the study habits, learning, and all that. And our takeaway is like active learning techniques, which is very, very important. So when I'm talking about active learning, I connect with, IB methodology also, which talks about approaches to learning. Okay. So when we are saying about this approaches to learning, basically the children need to understand that how am I going to develop my learning approach. So you're not learning only because the chapters are there in the textbook. Okay, you need to find it out the relevance in the daily life. And fortunately, nowadays the school teaching learning practices are changing. They are connecting it with the real life scenarios. That's why they gave the questionnaire. They need, they do the discussion, debates are there. So the child should take interest, and even the families also need to understand. Like when your child is learning the energy topic, okay? So it is like, how much energy conservation is happening, the meter reading of the electricity, or if you have, so these things are very, very important. So it's like, your social skills. So when I'm talking about this approaches to learning, your social skills play a very, very important role. Okay. Then your research skills. So when you're doing something, when you're learning something, why am I learning? It's not only for earning marks. Please remember one thing. When you are learning about nature, okay, one day you are going to get connected yourself with this nature. So how do we do that research? So for that reason, the research skills, then the thinking skills, then the communication skills. So when you are doing some recitation, or the teacher has asked you to prepare yourself, dialogue writing or persuasive writing. So why? Because your communication skills needs to be developed well. And the last but not the least in this approaches to learning is a self-management skills, which is very, very important. So once you, and this self-management skills, it's not going to come in one day, ma'am. It is going to take time, isn't it? So thank you for sharing that, ma'am. So it is very important that these skills are going to get day by day going to get sharpened. Okay, day by day. But you need to keep this in mind. These skills, I'm developing it. Okay. So even the parents can come in, oh wow, good research. The child says, Mama, my water bottle, this had happened and I did this and so you have to, oh, very well, self-managed boy, right? So you need to talk about this so that the children start making connections. So that is something which is very, very important. Third thing is like I'm going to talk about the core study when they are doing preparing for the exam, competitive exams, and all those things. One very important point is over here that taking a proper breaks. Okay, because human mind, your concentration span is very less. Even if you cannot have more than 30 minutes. That's why, I don't like to go beyond 30 minutes. Even the classrooms also 35 minutes periods are there, 45 minutes, not more than that. The reason is there is some research has happened behind that. So taking a proper break when you're sitting on your study table, after you complete that one particular this thing, take a round, go and take a sip of water, or play with your ball, something, and then come back again. So time up yourself. Like I still remember, grade 5 onwards, the children start wearing the watch. Now the third standard children also wants to wear. But then when you present a watch to your child, tell him the importance of it. Tell him, revisiting and seeing that. So that is something which is very important. So taking a timely breaks is um, is the first thing. Second thing is that,
Yeah,
one.
ma'am, I want to just ask you one thing, if you don't mind, because breaks children are taking nowadays, but they take YouTube breaks, digital breaks. So would you like to advise something about these breaks? Because this is important part.
Yeah, ma'am, now I would like to tell you very, very clearly, like YouTube or using your gadgets as a break time, I will say a big no to you. Because, your human mind is such, like if I'm watching something, visual impact is so powerful that if am watching some video and later on I come back and start writing my essay, still that picture will be in my mind. So I would say taking a break is something physically going, running, taking a round, going out in the garden, coming back, drinking water, climbing up the steps, coming down, okay, sharpening your pencil, okay, filling the ink in the ink pen if you're using. So these are the break. Or you have a pet, you can go and, be with your pet for some time. If you have a fish tank, watch the fish, give the food to the fish. This will be the breaks, which is bio break. You take it, wash your feet, wash your face, splash little water on your eyes. These are the breaks. But good, very valid thing you asked that, having a YouTube break or watching some video or playing some video game. because this 3 hours or 2 hours which you're going to dedicate, okay, should be, your gadgets should be far away from you, because they are the biggest distractions. Technology, we need to use it, but not at this time,
Not during break time. Huh?
not at all. Now,
Because one child shared with me during Brighter Mind session only. She was sharing, ma'am, I always think that I will make my parents surprised this time. I will score so well that they would be thinking like I'm a super person. But the moment I get my mom's mobile, and then 2 hours are passed and not even aware of it, it happens. So that break time will extend if you go to digital devices.
Yeah, yeah. And this is something you in this process, ma'am, the children are going to develop the habit of having a control on their mind. It's very, very important in life. Having a control of something on yourself, right? I'm not going to, access my PSP games, or I'm not going to, touch my mobile phone, because nowadays all children have it. So that having that control is very, very important. Very important. Nobody else can control you. You yourself can control yourself, right? And no, you should not allow also anybody to control yourself. Correct? So this is something which is very important, my dear children. So let's have that kind of an approach and attitude. Yeah. Yeah.
So please share something about active learning and passive learning, ma'am.
Yeah. Very important, ma'am. So when you're studying, ma'am, there are many students, even in the school, I used to see that when self-study time is given, the child has opened the chapter and reading as if he is doing. But that becomes, as you know, a passive learning, because you're just going, your eyes are there, you are physically present, mentally somewhere else. And this is a human mind. So one very important thing is that you need to have a pen and a paper, or a pencil and a paper with you, okay, when you are studying. Rough notebook, or you can keep it as a, sketching pad or something like that way. And you should keep on, like, now suppose if I'm learning about history, okay, and in the history, it is like, I'm learning about Mughal emperor period. So when I'm doing that, if there are like, a few chronological orders I have to remember, or if I want to remember the states and what kind of a, historical event has taken place. So I need to keep on questioning myself, and I keep on writing it. Okay. So what happens in that, when you're writing, your mind is engaged. Okay. When you're writing, your mind is engaged. So this is called ma'am, active learning. Or when you are asking somebody to ask you questions, or you are questioning yourself and ensuring that you know the answer of this. Like now, chemical equations. So what is the chemical equation for this formula? Or what is the a plus b square? So I should be able to write it a square plus 2ab plus b square. So that is something which, I should question myself. Or a cube plus b cube, what does it mean? So, this kind of a questioning skills you should develop. And more you question yourself, it becomes like active learning. So always remember sitting, and I have gone through the chapter. This is a normal answer of the children. And when you ask them related any question, the child is not able to do it. So developing questioning skills technique is something which is very, very important. Right? So comprehension is very important. So how much I have comprehended, whatever I'm reading, is very important. So this, if we write from the childhood, if we inculcate, and later on when the children are studying, we should give this tip to them, that, question yourself. So what kind of a questions you have on this chapter? Those questions may not be below the lesson, but you have framed your one line question answer. And that helps you a lot in making yourself active learner. So this is, ma'am, a very important technique, and which is very good. Secondly, like, ma'am, reflective learning, which I always keep on saying about it, like, after every session, or, after you have finished summarizing. So, key points, either you write it down, or you tell your mama or papa, like, I would like to tell you what I have done it. So I want to summarize, and I want to tell you, and you tell your brother, sister, and somebody. Okay. If nobody is there, you can write it down also. Okay. You can draw a picture, and while drawing a picture, like, I mean to say sketching you're doing, and then you are saying that these are the points which I have to remember it. Please do that. So that becomes very, very clear and, reflective kind of a learning happens. And definitely, like, it's like testing yourself. So generally, kind of a mock testing happens in the school, or, prior to the, they call it as a prelim tests are there. Nowadays, for the board classes, so many question papers are there. So you need to test yourself, and then, that helps. So when you're doing your backward planning, by when my preparation for the, this chapters is going to get over, when I'm going to have my own test, okay, then you can request somebody else also to give you a test paper. Previous years test papers you can refer to. So that helps you. So testing yourself is very, very important. Just don't go, for the last minute for the exam and then say that writing and then answering the questions. That becomes like, you are just aiming, but there is no goal. It's just a trial you are doing it.
You may be thinking that you are wearing Superman cape, but it may not be able to fly. So check if you are able to fly also.
And ma'am, this kind of a sincere approach has to be, again, I should say that, value of, having the sincere approach towards academics or sincere approach to any habit is very, very important. That's why the discipline in the family is very, very important, right? And these are not very strict disciplines. It has to come in a very easy way. So that has to be the culture of the family. And I have seen many parents are doing this. So it's not like, it's impossible. It is possible, but for that, the parents also need to have control on themselves. Yeah. So these are the few techniques which I said, ma'am, test yourself. Then, even if you're doing the test, if the mistakes takes place, it's fine. Then, making a mind map, which is very, very important, ma'am. And when you want to remember certain things, if you write it, keep on writing, those rough papers really help you. There are many students I have seen that, they write it on the textbook itself. But having a separate paper or a notebook where you keep on jotting it down, it helps you, it boosts your confidence level. You know that how much you remember, because it's not like it's a memory test. It is like understanding with learning. So that is very important. Okay. Only memorization doesn't help you. Memorization can help you till up to certain limit. Okay. But understanding with learning is for lifelong. So these habits develop that way. And mind mapping, as well as, ma'am, like one very important this thing, which I used to do it in the school also, ma'am. What I know, so, and what I want to know, and what I have learned. So these are the technique, three kind of, I must say the columns where, child should think about it. Like now, maths, trigonometry. What I know. So I know the theorems. I know, equations. So all that. But what I don't know, so that the child should be able to. So, it's kind of a judging yourself. Yes, ma'am. This is very important. So, KWL. So generally, this graphic organizer is used in the schools also, but the children can acquire this for their self-learning at home. KWL. It's very, very simple. So what I know, I want to know, okay, and what I have learned. So it's very, very clear in your mind and brain. That helps, and that brings you a quick learner. So it is like a smart way of doing the things. The things which you know should not be done again and again. You're confident.
Organize.
Yes.
Bucket.
Bucket. So how much, then there the priorities of the task comes, man. How much time I have to give it to this chapter? I know the graphs very well. So graphs, 10 marks, I'm going to put it in my pocket. So that way you have to, start thinking, and it has to be a very joyful way. And I've seen, the children doing wonders with those who follow such kind of a methods.
So today I have invited two children, Sanskruti and Tejasvi. I hope they are here, ma'am. But
Okay.
before they share something, I would like you to share how
Mm.
important is stress-free preparation of exams, and what would you say regarding that?
Yes.
Your view.
Yes. So stress is something which is, it's if you really look at that word itself, okay, it's I don't know who developed this word, ma'am, but this word has really made small young children also using it in very frequently.
Uh,
Okay. And he has got a stress, she has got a stress. So these are very commonly used words by the parents. So first and the most important thing is that we have to be very, very cautious when we bring these words in the family.
uh, don't use a stress word.
Yes.
घर से
I
निकाल दो.
always say it has to be deleted from your memory and brain and a mind. Okay. Because it's very important. It's very important. These words play, a kind of a, it is impactful. So you have to, first thing is that you have to learn to eliminate that. And how we can do this positive study habits, which is very, very important. So how to do this stress free learning is something which requires a constant study schedule, because everything requires a regularity, ma'am. Correct. So if you want to be a stress free, now I'm not going to use this word stress. You want to be a
Relax.
positive, yeah. If you want to be a positive learner, you need to make sure that you need to have a regularity. Routine has to be there. If you're coming back from the school at 4 o'clock, you go for playing, have your evening snacks time. But 7 o'clock, sit for your studies. 7 to 8:30, give that 1.5 hour dedicated. In that, how much time you're going to give it for homework completion and how much you're giving for self-study is something which you have to think about it. Have your dinner, go to bed early. So having a good positive habits is very, very important. Having a regularity in whatever you do. Many a times I have seen the children who remain absent, who are irregular in the school, lack in studies. So this regularity, I can understand due to health issues, somebody may. But then, regularity in every approach deletes that S word. Okay, I have said now I'm not going to use that word, so it will be S word. So it gets deleted. Okay. Second thing is that, ma'am, distractions. Mhm. Now, what happens, as I said, like, distraction of social media, phone, then, unwanted friends interactions. Okay, especially when you go to the adolescence age group, I know that we need a friends, and it is very important. Having opposite gender friends is also very, very equally important. But then, how much time you spend with them, that is very important. So that wiseness has to be there. So control on your, interactions with the uh, distraction is very, very important. And another thing is that to have delete the S word is like chunking information. So it's like certain things you are just gathering as an information. But what is knowledge? So information and knowledge difference. Like I know that this topic, I have read it. Suppose if it is essay, you have to write it. So essay, when you're writing it, I need to have some proverbs to be used or the quotes to be used. So when I get a free time, I jot down this. So chunking information is very, very important. So that is something out of the textbook, you're going to use it, right? Like learning something, like now we can learn from a well-known people certain things. So, reading somebody's biography. So apart from your academics, what else extra reading you're doing it? Because that ultimately helps you in academics also. Correct? So that makes you again stay away from this S word and not rushing at the last minute, ma'am. This is something. So if you do the backward planning, then definitely you will not be rushing at the last minute. So these all what we said in the process, it has to be followed in the process order. So not to rush last minute. That is something which has to get eliminated. And then having your own study groups or interactions. But again, wisely, timely, it has to be done. So definitely this will, keep the children away from this. And Brighter Mind program, or, brain gym activities, which you keep sharing it with this, will definitely help the children to keep themselves, away from this 5-letter word. Yeah.
And more you work towards your skills of mind, then you are more efficient. You are doing more things in lesser time. So automatically stress will be reduced.
Yeah.
So with us, Sanskruti and Tejasvi are here. Can you please put your video on? So I will be able to give you spotlight. So Sanskruti is here.
Okay. Good.
Hi, Sanskruti. And
Hello, ma'am.
I request Tejasvi also. Hi, I request Tejasvi also to put video on so that I can give you a spotlight.
Ma'am, you didn't allow me to on my video.
Really? Please put your video on, audio on.
Yeah, she's there. Yeah, Tejaswini is also there.
Yeah. Sanskruti, would you like to share something with everyone about your studies?
Yes, teacher. Uh, uh, Good evening, everyone. Here, Sanskrit and Ildarekar. I'm in 4th standard and school Nirmala Convent. I'm a student of Brighter Mind and I have completed Alpha Plus. Alpha. And I have learned many more things from Brighter Mind sessions I was attending from last Sundays, and especially I have been so much calm, and my parents are what we say that
Relaxed. You are calm, so parents are relaxed.
focusing on me that yes, my parents are always saying me you have to be so much calm with your brother and all your members, and especially you are very improved in your studies and sports, and my teachers are giving that response. And I am very happy because of that response.
So what teachers are saying? Sanskriti, you are flying now? Like that?
Yes, correct.
Right? Okay.
Good, good,
Thank
good.
you,
And
Sanskrit.
especially thanks for Rama ma'am for giving this motivational speech, and special thanks goes to Subhi ma'am also for organizing this session.
You know what,
Thank you.
Sanskriti? Amma ma'am is mentor for all of us.
I also have
Yeah.
learned a lot from children, and I'm happy that you are expressing, this is something which is very, very important. Okay. Good to know. Good to know. Yeah.
So Tejasvi is saying she's not able to unmute. Yeah, now you are unmuted.
Yeah.
Welcome, Tejasvi.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good, good, good.
Myself Tejasvi Shinde, and from graded Dhruv Global School.
Okay.
How did I improve while doing the Brighter Minds? I got focused, confident, and even I improved in studies. Like first I was not good that in studies, but now I'm much better. I was so angry at everyone. I was so rude first. But
Really?
now I got calm. Yeah.
Don't look like you look very soft.
But now I got so calm. And last week, the book review was there. Then I have to learn a speech that I didn't do. I was not having a time. So after that, I learned that speech in 10 minutes only because I did focused on that speech. I did focus and I was so confident that I can do that speech. So I selected for second round. And I'm even excited to do Alpha Plus.
Congratulations.
Good to know. Great. Great going. I must say that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tejasvi.
Continue the practice, right? Continue the practice and the techniques which are introduced to you by Surbhi ma'am. So continue that. That will really help you a lot in further journey.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
You for sharing with us. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sanskruti. We can't see you, but we can feel your presence.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good.
So, Rama ma'am, should we open the floor for questions?
Yes, we should
Any
open it,
questions
ma'am.
that you have in mind, you can please put in chat box. Any language is fine. You can ask even in any language if you want to put your video audio on and ask us. Anything that you have in your mind.
Yeah, one child has raised his hand, ma'am. Aman Lunawat, I think
Hi,
so. Yeah.
Aman. Where are you from?
Good evening, ma'am. I'm from Pune, Maharashtra.
Okay. What question do you have?
Miss Rama ma'am had informed us to take a pencil and a paper and write when we are studying. So I kind of find it difficult to do it.
Okay. So you are first tell me you are in which standard, which grade? Yeah.
Miss 8.
8th standard. Okay. So one thing I'll tell you, like when you are doing first tell me like why do you find it difficult? Because you're reading and then writing, or what is the difficulty?
Yes, it is a reason, and also it is very time consuming.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you feel, tell me frankly, do you feel if I already know it, why to write? Do you feel like this?
Yes.
See?
See, remember one thing. I'm not saying you write everything, okay? But the topics which you find it difficult, like now you are in 8th standard, you have physics, chemistry, and biology, correct? These three subjects are different, right? So now, when you are studying, suppose if you are studying physics or you are studying chemistry, now when you are doing that, those formulas to be written, okay, equations to be written, so it is very important that now your actual study journey is going to be more intensive. Okay, 8, 9, 10th, right? So you may find it little difficult initially, but if you develop that habit slowly, gradually, you will get involved because that makes you more active learner. Okay, so it's like, learning something new. This is something new which I'm asking you to do it. And why we have to do it? Because it has a strong connect brain and a hand when you write it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it may take a little time, and as you said, and Subhi ma'am had a hearty laugh that it is time consuming. Yeah, I do understand, but at least certain areas you start doing it, then slowly, gradually, you have to understand only difficult questions. You will start, pinpointing or making a mind map or making sure that you make a notes.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
And also, Aman, Rama ma'am has shared a wonderful, observation and research studies on how brain is connected through your handwriting. You can watch that YouTube video as well, so that you understand why writing is very important.
Yes, ma'am.
And why I asked you that question, because I met few children who think like that. When I'm already intelligent, when I already know everything, then why to write? Teacher should understand. Teacher can take interview or YY and check my knowledge like that. But writing has connection with brain, so it helps your brain to develop. That is why it's kept in the education system, right, Ramana?
Yes, absolutely correct. Thank you, Aman. Very boldly and very nicely you asked the question. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Claps for you and Tejasvi
Thank you,
and
ma'am.
Sanskruti. Thank you, children.
Thank
And let me tell you, Aman, Sanskruti, and Tejasvi, that you are capable of speaking in front of so many people. That itself is a winning move. Because you should never be shy of speaking your things. Okay, so congratulations and best wishes to you for your studies, all three of you, Sanskruti, Tejasvi, and Aman. So we have one.
Thank you, ma'am.
So we have one more question. Shreya ji says, ma'am, sometimes because of some other work or more assignments, the self-study plan got interrupted. or we didn't get much time to study while doing. So can you suggest some ways?
Yeah. So basically now see, when you're doing this kind of a planning, okay, when you're saying that you did not get the time, what we have to do is that because of the assignment you have not, so we have to be focused on if the assignment doesn't get completed, then that definitely the child doesn't get internal marks also. So we have to prioritize. But you may have a weekend, okay? So if that plan doesn't work, whatever you have planned because of certain other, some work, as you mentioned, you need to keep a scope that you can do that in the weekend, or self-study has to be done. Even self-study, if 1 hour is done, smarter way, it's more helpful. I'm not saying you have to do 4 hours self-study. 1 hour is more than enough. So that way you have to adjust, and you have to make sure that you have to motivate yourself. Because if you keep on saying because of this assignments I'm not been able to do it, or the child has not been able to do it, or the school has given this project, and because of this project the self study has been, that is the normal practical difficulty, that some EVS project has come up, and because of that English self study is not happening, math self study is not happening. So doesn't matter that whatever you're giving. So enjoy everything what has been given. That is something which is very important. Again, we develop that habit.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is very fascinating thing that you suggested, ma'am, that in plan itself have some time so that whenever it goes disturbed here, you utilize that time. That's a wonderful
So
idea,
how
and
we
it will
how
help.
we have contingency fund, ma'am, right? Okay, certain amount of funds we keep it as a spare, right? Only when it is required we touch that. So similar way, certain time you need to keep it where which we can utilize it for self study and all that. So this is something which the children learn throughout the life. But you need to talk about it. If you don't talk it, they are not going to learn. Remember one thing, in schools, very few schools take an efforts to talk about this. Very few schools. So as a parent, it is moral responsibility to talk about it, speak to the child, and that will really definitely help. Yeah.
And I would like to share with all the children and parents also that what is the difference between winners and losers. Losers will have 10,000 excuses. Winners will have only one thing, one reason to do it, and they will do it. So find one reason which will motivate to do it.
Absolutely correct. And sports has taught us so many things. So encourage the children to, participate in the sports. That's very important. Any sport, like indoor, outdoor, whatever it is, because the sports gives you life learning skills, which is very important. And then you can see the balancing how the children come up with.
Any one sport you need to choose.
Any one sport. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Rama ma'am.
Thank
for
you.
this
Thank you, ma'am. Thank
happy
you so much.
discussion.
I hope our interaction is useful for the children as well as the parents community. Thank you so much and wish you again happy Dashera as well as Vijayadashmi. Thank you. Good day.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Yeah, so I just missed
Thank
one
you.
thing. Stay here only. I missed one thing, sharing with you the details of WhatsApp group and YouTube videos so that you can be connected. And later also, if you get any question in mind, you can send us. If you want to watch more, because almost every day we keep sending something or the other over YouTube. Keep watching so that it will have more awareness about different things which are to be done. I'm also sharing LinkedIn, which you can follow because we keep sharing on LinkedIn. And please feel free to share with others also. If you have LinkedIn profile, you can share with others as well. So I've shared all the three things. Link to join WhatsApp group for parents, and it is a group of all the parents. And you can send your queries, whatever you have learned or something you want to share, because this group is there to connect with each other. And then this YouTube channel is the second link where you can follow, subscribe to it. And then third is LinkedIn. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank
Happy
you.
Dussehra.
Bye-bye.
Ma'am, excuse me.
Ji.
Ma'am,
Yeah,
I wanted to ask that when will the next two sessions, when will you organize the next two sessions? As you are told, there are three.
I didn't understand the question. 3 means webinars.
Yes, you told there will be 3 sessions,
Oh,
and
oh.
this is the first one.
No, so I shared that there are 3 key takeaways of this webinar that we shared. One was how to do backward planning and what is the benefit. Second, what is learning strategies, active learning, passive learning. And third is how it is important to remove that S word from stress and dress well and enjoy. So that is the third thing. And yes,
Okay,
for
ma'am.
webinars every Saturday from 7:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. we keep doing it. Please feel free to join. If you join this WhatsApp group, we send all the information over here every week. So you can, next week webinar will also be posted here. So you can join through that. You can register to that. So please join this
Okay.
group of WhatsApp. So you will
Yes.
be getting all the information. Thank you, Shreya.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Good day, everybody.
So if you are done, I can just exit.